You got to kill the vocalist. That's the rule. That's the rule. I don't know if you know that. Oh God, I'm the vocalist. Officers of Starfleet, ensigns and admirals alike. Mark here from the USS Kardavox, excited to talk to you about Enterprise Earth. Yeah, I made Star Trek jokes. I don't care. I stand by it. I'm very excited to talk about Enterprise Earth because we've never talked about them at all on the channel. Surprisingly, we've never even had Dan Watson's looked into Dan Watson's voice on the channel as well, which looking back is really surprising and kind of strange, and I'm not sure why that hasn't happened. But it's happening today. Today we are talking about Reanimate Disintegrate. This is off their most recent release. Now, I'm hearing that there is a lot of difference, a lot of change in the way that he does a lot of his vocals. So I'm interested to hear that. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I'm a metal vocalist myself in 3 metal bands, Kardashev, Neverbreath, and Biramia. I am also a vocal coach specializing in harsh vocals, so gurgles, grunts, high screams, tunnel throats, all these terms we have, whatever you want to call them. That's what I do for a living. I teach people how to make these grunty sounds. Now, what we do is we take the reaction format, we break it down, we try to make it fun, we try to have some fun and learn something as well. So hopefully we can kind of pick apart what's going on here and either replicate it or give it our best guess. You know, sometimes it can be kind of hard to tell what's going on. In that case, we have co-reactions where we actually get to talk with the vocalists themselves. So check out our playlist of co-reactions. Those are a lot of fun. But beyond that, if you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Patreon if you really like the content and want to help us make more of it. We have a lot of cool events each month. And I think that's it. You know, let's check out Dan Watson. For those who may not know, I'd be surprised if you didn't know, Dan Watson was the original vocalist of Infant Annihilator. Now, for a while, he's been in Enterprise Earth. And he's got a very distinct tone, a very distinct sound that I'm interested and excited to talk about. So let's get into it. This is Reanimate Disintegrate, Enterprise Earth. Let's go. Oh! All right, so this song sounds like it's going to be a banger all the way through. There's probably not going to be any good spot to pause, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it here. Not at all what I was expecting. So, just to be clear, or just to be honest, it's been a while since I've heard Dan's voice. And it's not necessarily for not wanting to, but you'd be surprised in a job that involves music and being a musician myself, I don't really get a lot of time to listen to music. So I'm behind on literally everything all the time when it comes to music. And, you know, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but back in the Infant Annihilator days, I remember these very, very solid, very steady fry tones. What I'm hearing now, and we'll listen to it because this is just my first impression, what I'm hearing now is a lot more of like a higher arytenoidal sound. Like, I'm not going to say he sounds like Phil Bozeman, but it sounds closer to what, like, we had Phil Bozeman on the channel a while ago. It sounds a lot closer to what like Phil is doing or Ben Dur are doing. Now, he still sounds like himself. I'm not saying he sounds like these folks, but this vocal style sounds closer to that than it would to like the Fry style you hear from like, you know, Fit for a King or something like that. This is very fascinating. I want to hear the intro again because there's a lot of really good stuff to talk about. Then we'll listen a little bit longer and then we'll talk about how we can learn to create some of these sounds because we have a much, now when I say tighter, I don't mean tight here. I mean tight as in the distortion is not slow and clacky. It's like TV static tight. And that's really fun to talk about. So let's go back to probably about here. And there's going to be a lot to talk about in this video. I can already tell you. Let's go. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do it there because I know we get a little bit of a pause. So we have kind of like 3 vowel shapes we're working with right now. On those highs, on some of those mids, and showing those bottom teeth, that we're seeing on some of those lows. Now, these are really great things to think about when you're listening to a metal vocalist and wanting to take inspiration from their style. How do they use their vowels? Because vowels are what we sing, right? We don't really sing consonants. Consonants just show up and cut the airflow for a brief moment, right? They just kind of partially or sometimes fully occlude the airflow, right? Like a b is a full occlusion, a t is a partial occlusion, a little bit of air coming around the sides. That's really all consonants are. So when you're listening to a vocalist and you want to understand like how do they get the sound that they get, think about the vowels that they're using. This can be tricky sometimes with metal vocals because they're not they don't pronounce, most metal vocalists don't pronounce vowels the way you would want to sing them or the way that you would want to speak them. So for example, on his opening highs, I mean, and he's quite articulate here. I reanimate. That's what it sounded like he said anyway. He's got this very bright right? And if we take a standard high vocal, right there, and we increase the brightness of that vowel and we tighten up in the pharyngeal space, not around your vocal folds in the pharyngeal space, we'll get more of like an and you can hear how that brightness will affect the tone. Now, one thing you're going to get, and it's important for me to talk about, is sometimes, and this is a question I asked my ENT back in the day. I go and I get scoped every 6 months just to make sure everything's going well. Good vocal maintenance. Sometimes with these really, really thin high vocals, what'll happen is you'll shake around your salivary glands, right? Kind of around your tonsils and below. And so sometimes it'll create a lot of saliva. That'll happen. So if you're getting that sensation and you're kind of like getting some saliva that you need to swallow, that's fine. Don't worry about it. If you're doing that to get rid of an itchy feeling, if you're doing that to get rid of like a mucus feeling, if you feel mucus and scratchiness coming up, that's not good, right? That means you're not placing your distortion properly. Let's keep going. I promise I'll let it play for a little bit longer, but yo, like if I'm not careful, this is going to be like an hour and a half long video. Let's try to make it like 30 minutes at the most here, but let's keep going. Oh. Oh. All right, I gotta pause there because that section pissed me off in a really good way. That like, you know, when you hear metal and you just get pissed and you want to start like punching things. Just gotta, that's just like that pump of energy. Okay, so let's talk vocals. Dan is sounding really good here. Like, holy cow. I mean, I always thought he sounded good. I've always loved everything I've heard him in, but like, oh, he is so clean and so controlled here. So there are a couple things that I'm hearing. Number one, a lot of really nice tongue manipulation through smaller oral spaces. So if I take like our typical guttural noise, right? If I take our typical guttural noise, right? You know, that's a pretty standard guttural, right? And with that, I'm utilizing much more of an arytenoidal sensation versus like a false chord. You can hear how the false chord is looser and more open. The arytenoidal scream is a little bit more tight. We're bringing those arytenoids kind of close together there. And that's not my discovery, by the way. We've been talking about this for years. But anyway, if I take that like standard open guttural, what I'm going to do is instead of saying, right, that's what gives the guttural the big echoey shape. I'm going to say, so, I'm also going to take my tongue and rather than doing this, I'm going to do this. All right, kind of like a I'm spitting all over my camera. But you can hear how that changes a lot of things. And one thing that he's doing that's really cool is he's using that tighter. He's using that much tighter. And again, I really want to reiterate, I'm talking about tight as in sound, not tight as in muscle activation. He's using that tighter scream and he's giving it little puffs of air. You hear a lot of that in old Lorna Shore. And Signs of the Swarm. It's been a while since I've heard Signs of the Swarm stuff. I need to get caught up on that as well. But you hear Dave doing a lot of, right? So if I have this, I don't know what the lyrics are to this song, so I'm just going to kind of make syllables up. Right? You can hear that it kind of creates this really really staccato, disgusting type of sound that's really, really neat. Why am I spitting so much? What's my problem? You know what? It's my studio. I do what I want. Let's keep going here. I'm going to go back a little bit so you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. But yeah, Dan, you're on X Games mode right now. Oh my God. Ugh. See? Smart moving using a lot of sounds as the guitars go for those tight like chugs. That was sick. Also that cymbal play in that open section, like, call me crazy, but like we had like some Within the Ruins going on, like some what was the album that had was the song Ataxia? It was either Ataxia or Apraxia, which are two muscular disorders, I believe. It's been a long time since I was studying those. Point is, like we had like a Within the Ruins moment, and then you heard a lot of what I was talking about. A lot of that, right? A lot of that type of sound. Let's go back. I want you to hear those. I want you to hear the choice of syllables. Now, this is something you think about while you're writing lyrics, right? While you're writing lyrics, here's a bit of advice. You don't have to do it, but I suggest you do. Write your lyrics or finalize your lyrics once the rhythm section and the drums are done. Right? That's something about being a vocalist that is past the sound. Writing the lyrics, deciding how you're going to deliver them. Now, I'm not saying don't draft up lyrics beforehand, right? You got inspiration for lyrics, jot them down. But what'll happen is those lyrics will change, because all of a sudden, a section where you wanted to do something long and flowy, the guitars will go and the cymbals are going tick, 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 tick. And you'll be like, I want to do that too. I want to supplement and accentuate that section. I want to support that part of the song. So where you were saying, like, you know, a lot of va and fa and tha, maybe now you want to say a lot of ta and pa and ka and ga to match those attack sounds of the cymbals and of the guitar. That could be a really smart move. I don't know if he did that intentionally here. It'd be really hard for me to think he did not do that intentionally, because it just matched so perfectly. I'm going to go back right about here. Oh. Now it's Viltiarta? What? Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, those highs are disgusting. Oh my God. So a couple things I want to talk about. So in that open section, right, that was mostly ambient, where they're, you know, doing the ritual out in the woods, killing the vocalist. You got to kill the vocalist. That's the rule. That's the rule. I don't know if you know that. Oh God, I'm the vocalist. Woo. During that section, he was doing this really, I mean, it was far back. It had some verb on it, some delay, right? But he was doing this mid that sounded like a high. And that's one thing that's really actually quite cool that you can do. I've talked about this in a couple other videos, but with a lot of times people, and this is surprising to me, people, they won't be sure how to approach a mid vocal, right? They'll be like, oh, my gutturals are great, I can handle highs. But then they'll be like, Mark, help me find my mids. And I'm always like, okay, but this is going to take 20 minutes. What do you want to do with the rest of your lesson pack? What do you want to do with the other 4 lessons you have, right? And part of the reason is because oftentimes with our mids, we just change the shape of our mouth for the vocal that we're doing, right? So for example, if I have a high vocal that sounds like this, part of the way that I'm making it high is I'm arching my tongue up, pulling my lips back, scrunching my face. Now I'm just going to stop doing all that while still making the same type of distortion. Right there, like that. That's a very like dirty, like sort of black metal sounding mid, but a mid it is, right? What if I take a guttural? What if I take a low? Right? What if I take that? How am I making that a guttural? Puckering my lips so the length of my vocal cavity is longer. Right? Dropping my jaw, curling my tongue a little bit, up, down, sideways, doesn't matter. What if I stop doing those things? Right there, like that. No. Nah, it's a mid, right? So that took 10 minutes of our lesson. What do you want to do next, right? So if you're having trouble with mids, but you've got a good low or a good high, think about, rather than changing what you're doing here, change what you're doing here. You can move your mouth in all sorts of different shapes all day very, very safely, right? You may find that different vowels require different levels of support or different approaches. You may find that some vowels are easier high than they are low, but you can generally move your articulators with relative ease, right? Okay, I forgot the other things that I was going to say. So let's go back to the ritual here, and then we'll listen through these highs because they're going to be gross in the best possible way. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right, I quit vocals. Goodbye, everybody. This is the end of Kardavoxacademy. Thank you for watching. I'm just gonna not do vocals anymore. Just kidding. Okay, so there are a couple things I want to talk about. For that breakdown being a lot slower than I anticipated. That was class. That was class. But let's talk vocals. One of the things I wanted to talk about is it sounds like we have 2 tonal screams. Right after that ritual in the woods, 2 tonal screams that are slightly dissonant, right? Now, we can take like our mid, and we can put a little tone under there. Right? And one thing you can do is you can kind of like layer them to a point where it sounds pretty cool. Right? You hear a lot of that in like cattle decapitation and things like that. It can sound a little raw, dry, but it's quite comfortable to do if you know how to separate your distortion from your true chord phonation. Nay, right there like that. Right? Don't start there. Don't start there, because if that distortion is existing on your vocal folds and you don't know how to feel that sensation, or you just don't have a lot of control, you don't have that mind-body relationship with your true voice, it can be kind of tricky. One of the best things you can do as a vocalist to get comfortable with your voice and also to understand how your vocal folds behave in different spaces in your register is to sing scales. Now, I know you're probably out there thinking like, what the hell do I need to do scales for? I don't even use my vocal folds when I scream. There is a very real and tangible reason why this is important. Number one, it's going to help you understand your voice acoustically in different places, right? Our voices don't behave the same way down here, as here, hey, 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 as here, oh yeah, whoa, whoa. They don't behave the same way. So if you are using scales, if you are using your clean tone to practice, what that's letting you do is that's letting you observe the way your voice resonates in your head, which can vary a little bit from person to person, in a safe and enclosed environment that then you can apply to your screams. You will find that you will learn different resonant placements, and you will learn more about how sound moves through your sinuses and through your mouth, thus allowing you to add more nuance to your tone, right? If you are willing to play with your clean voice. You don't have to, but it's very important. Another reason is that you as a vocalist are going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And let's say you go for a big scream, right? And your vocal folds accidentally do this. Smack together really hard. But your vocal, you haven't been talking much that day. Your vocal folds are kind of claggy. You haven't gotten a lot of blood flow through there. You can get a lot more pain from that sensation. Whereas if you just warm up and do some very simple, like, la, 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 it doesn't even have to sound great, right? Never underestimate the value of utilizing your clean voice, even if you're never going to sing a clean note in your life, okay? That's going to help you, especially if you want to go for tonal screams, right? If you want to go for these tonal screams that he was doing that sound really awesome, and there's a little bit of this going on, there's a little bit of dissonance in your tonality, it's a great idea. Yet again, I forgot the other stuff that I was going to say, but this song is choice, y'all. This song is choice. Ugh, delicious. Oh. Nice. No. Yo, that song is too good. That song is too good. One last thing I want to talk about. Very simple. Very simple. I love the way he was pitching down his highs in that rapid fire section. So he's like, you know, right? Just a nice touch. Just a really cool touch that I greatly enjoy. It's looking like I'm at 28 minutes of recording. When we chop some stuff, it'll probably be down to like 25. So I think that's a good length. I think that's where we can wrap it up. But yo, Mr. Watson, you sounding good, bro. This song is sounding fresh. I'm excited to potentially hear some other tracks as well. Because a lot of people have told me that there's some clean singing on this album too. So interested to hear that. Excited to hear that. But if you really liked the content, let me know down below. If you felt like you learned something, if you felt like you got something that you could take home for your own vocal journey, let me know. It makes me feel good when I know I'm helping people out. That's it. Check out our Patreon. Come hang out. Come say hi. Beyond that, as always, many thanks. Much love.
I'm out.